everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Paris and I'm the author of the Magi trilogy. Book 1's release date is August 26, 2022, and I absolutely cannot wait to share with you guys. In today's video, I'm going to be reorganizing my bookshelf. This past week, I've been redoing my room a bit. I moved my dresser, it was actually originally blocking a window, so I moved it to this side, and now it's much brighter in here. So now what I want to do, while the light is shining from the window behind the camera onto this bookshelf, I would like to reorganize this shelf. Now, I like the aesthetic look of a shelf that's organized by color, however, I more so prefer having it by series, so I will be keeping that aspect the same, but something I'm going to be doing a bit differently is while I was looking up aesthetic bookshelf ideas, I saw a lot of people have their books actually pushed to the back of the shelf. Now, what this does for one thing is it helps keep them all kind of even because they're not going to be moving backwards or forwards as you move other books out. But more importantly, it gives you more room at the front of the shelf to put other book-related items. Now, I have a huge Funko Pop collection, so I do think I'll be putting some of those on the shelf. But before I do that, I'm going to be taking all of the books off of the shelf so I can clean them off, get all of the dust off of them, and then I'll be putting everything on in a new order with all of you. Alright, all of the books are off the shelf. At the moment, these are all of my indie books. I'm leaving that alone because I actually don't really think I'm going to do anything different with them. I like the way it looks right now. I'm really just focusing on these three main shelves right here. So I'm going to spray them down. I'm using Windex, probably not the best thing to use on a wood shelf, but it's all I could find, so we're just going to ignore that. And I'm going to clean it down, and then I'm going to start putting everything back onto the shelf. Okay, this is all wiped down, and I'm ready to put my books on. Now, before anybody asks, this bookshelf is from Pottery Barn Kids. I've had it for about like 13 to 15 years now, so it's very old and you can kind of tell on the edges, but I absolutely love the shelf and just like the little dollhouse design of it. So this is my favorite bookshelf I have. It's currently the only one I have, but we're going to ignore that detail because it would be my favorite anyway. Now, to get onto the books. I like to have my favorite books on the top shelf. I don't really know why I'm like that, but that means that the Michael Bay series, the Love and series, and the Caraval series will all be going onto the shelf. I will show you guys what books those are while I do it so that you guys know and get some book recommendations. I just flipped my stack of my Michael Bay books over so that it has the first book at the top and it goes down so I can kind of just pick them up and go. Now, I have two copies of the first book. This series is by Richard Paul Evans. I'm just gonna stick it all the way in the back like that. This is one of my absolute favorite book series ever. It is my favorite traditionally published series for sure. And it is about a boy with electric powers named Michael Bay, and he discovers that the organization that accidentally created him and gave him these powers wants him back, as well as the 16 other kids with electric powers. So I absolutely adore this series. The 8th book in this series is coming out in November. I want to say November 11th. So I am absolutely counting down days for it. So this is my favorite series right here. There's 7 books. I have 2 copies of the first one, like I said, and then I have this not limited edition, but it was like a limited print run of the first 2 books combined with some bonus content. And so this is all by Richard Paul Evans. This next book, If Only, is also by Richard Paul Evans. I've read this 2 or 3 times, and yes, I cried at the end every time. It is one of the only books that has actually gotten me to like ugly cry over it. That is my Richard Paul Evans books. But his daughter, Jenna Evans Welch, actually has a book series as well. She has the Love and trilogy. So I'm going to be putting this on the shelf next to it. I think to break it up, I'm going to try and go for, you know how people will have their books like this? Kind of just flat, and I'll put something up on it. We will see how that looks. It's kind of hard to tell on the camera because it's the same color as the shelf, but we're just going to keep going with it. Next up would be the Caraval trilogy by Stephanie Garber. This is another one of my absolute favorite trilogies. And I'm wondering if I should stack it on top of it actually so I can fit the Hunger Games up. That's what I'm going to do. Actually. So this is the Caraval trilogy. Oh my gosh, look at that. That looks cute. So I have the Love and trilogy and then the Caraval trilogy. And right here, this is also by Stephanie Garber, Once Upon a Broken Heart. I have yet to read it, but it is the special edition from Barnes & Noble, and it is signed. And it has the pink cover, and then underneath it, underneath the dust jacket, it has this gold foil on it. So her next book in this, I don't know if she hasn't announced how many books are in it. I don't think she has, if it's a duology or a trilogy or what, but there is another book coming out. It's called The Ballad of Never After, and it has a lavender cover for the Barnes & Noble edition, which I pre-ordered so I can have the matching too. So I'm gonna put this right here, and then that will leave me just enough room to include the Hunger Games on the shelf, which I've currently lost in my pile. Here it is. All right, so another one of my favorite series is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. So this is definitely going on this top favorite shelf. I'm gonna put these right here and slide them back. Now they're a bit shorter than, yeah, they're a little bit shorter than them, so I might actually pull this out so it's all even. Fun fact about the Magi is it's gonna be the same size. It's 5.25 by 8 as the Hunger Games because I've just always loved that book size, so that is the size I've chosen for my book. And now I have The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes. I stopped reading it after chapter 4. It was just the secondhand embarrassment was kind of awkward, but you know what? It's fine. I do want to finish reading it one day, and it does have this beautiful foil on it. I know it's coming out as a movie soon, so I should probably read the book before I watch the movie. That's just the type of person I am, but we will see. So that is going to be my favorite shelves. There's room for one more book on here, so I might add right here, I'm gonna add this book right here, Flunked. Now, it's by Jen, I'm gonna butcher this last name, Kalanita. Pretty sure I butchered that, but you know, we tried. This book is called Flunked, and I honestly don't remember that much about it. However, it is actually the book that kind of helped inspire the Magi in a way. It's a fantasy book, but it's a fantasy fairy tale vibes, but it has some kind of modern aspects in the same way in the way the characters talk. And as you notice, the girl is wearing a blue dress. Rose famously wears a blue dress throughout the entirety of the first book because she just doesn't have a spare change of clothes on her. I really did her dirty like that, but that's fine. So this book right here is special to me. Like I said, I don't remember that much about it, but it did help inspire the Magi, so no matter what, this book is staying on my shelf. And let's hope it fits. Okay, it does. It fits perfectly, which means this first shelf is done. So I've never tried putting my books like this before. I actually do like the way it looks, and there is room to put things in front of it. So now onto shelf number 2. I'm thinking about putting the Percy Jackson books on this shelf because there are so many of them. So let's give that a try. I'm gonna just slide these over. So I have read most of Rick Riordan's books, and the ones I originally had to go through my books and I got rid of some of them. I got rid of Magnus Chase and Trials of Apollo, as well as the Kane Chronicles. What I have left is the Heroes of Olympus and the Percy Jackson books themselves. So I'm gonna put these on the shelves right here, underneath everything else. This is one of the ones that I can lift it closer to the camera. It has kind of the spine design, so it has the New York skyline and everything. Cool, you guys. I think you guys can see that. It looks like there was a glare for a second, but I got that out. And then I have this really old copy with a different cover, and the reason why I have 2 copies of this one is just because it was my first copy of the book, and I didn't want to get rid of it, but then I also didn't want to get rid of the matching cover, so I just kept both. So I'm gonna slide these all of the way back, and then I have the Heroes of Olympus series as well, which is kind of like the sequel series to it. So I have all of those as well, and I'm gonna slide them all of the way back. So now at this point, man, I have a lot of books left. Let's see, what should I add next? I'm trying to think of a way that will look kind of aesthetically pleasing. I have right here a box set of Jane Austen's books, which looks very fancy. I've actually only read Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I do want to read the other ones as well. Obviously, I have the whole set, so I have the ability to do so. Or maybe not. I'm pretty sure she wrote more books than this, but this is just some of her books here. So I could slide this on here, either that or I have the Unwanted books by Lisa McMahon, and I could stack those vertically. So I'm gonna try, you know what, no, I'm gonna put, not me going back and forth, I'm going to put the Jane Austen set next to these right here, and then I have room for a couple of other books as well. Let me see, I think I could fit, let's try, that is not gonna fit, I was wrong about that. Let me see, their books are off camera, so I'm just kind of sizing them up for a second. Let's do The Storm in H2O. Now this book is by Virginia Bergen. Again, if I'm butchering these names, guys, I try, I promise. So H2O and then The Storm. I actually love this series. So H2O itself is about there's a bacteria in the rain that basically if you touch the water, you're dead. Just hands down. So it's about I believe the main character's name is Ruby, and so it's about her surviving, and then this is the sequel to it. I've only read the sequel once. I read book 1 twice, and this was a couple years ago, so I'm not super familiar with everything. But something I love about the cover is like it has like the holes in it for the acid rain, and then, or I guess bacteria rain, and then this one also has holes in it as well, which I think looks really cool. So I'm gonna squeeze these two onto the shelf right here, and there's room for one more. I'm just gonna stick If We Survive on here. I got this book for Christmas. I haven't read it yet, but I'm very excited to, and it fits perfectly right there. So shelf 2 is done. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm getting concerned about the amount of books left compared to shelf space. So what I might need to do is stack more books on top, which I'm not against doing. Now, to save room, I think I can stack all of the Unwanted books by Lisa McMinn vertically. So I'm gonna try to do that. Same trick as before, stick it upside down so I can just grab them and stack. So make sure these are in order, book 1, book 2. Just gonna slide them back here. Now this is another series actually that I really loved. It's funny, it took me a while to read. I think I read it probably over maybe even 2 years. I just like slowly got the books as I slowly got them through. As I got money, I would buy one, and then I would buy another one a few months later. So I made my way through it, and I really enjoyed the series. There is a kind of a sequel series, Unwanted Quests. I haven't read it yet, but I've heard good things about it. So this is the Unwanted series by Lisa McMinn. There's room for one more book up on the top. I don't know if I'm going to put anything up there just because it doesn't really match. But let's continue on. So I have only a couple more series left. Most of the ones I have are standalones. This next one is called Emmy. Emmy and the Incredible Shrinking Rat. I used to have a pet rat. Her name was Bella, and my mom got me these series and this trilogy, and I absolutely loved it. Now something cool about it is it actually has like little graphics on the side. I'm gonna try to show you guys the best I can. See like the rat falling? It has that on all of them. It's a little harder to do with the hardcover, but the rat falls, and there's another one where he climbs up, I believe, a cobweb and stuff. So I always like that interactive aspect. I would love to do that in my book, but that probably costs a lot of money, and I don't have the expertise to do that at the moment. Maybe one day. The final actual series I have on this shelf is going to be the Maze Runner series. Now, again, this is another series that I kind of got rid of part of it. I have the original trilogy. I got rid of both of the prequels. I just wasn't a big fan of them, and because I had to cut back my book, because when we moved I couldn't bring all my books, I cut some of them off, so I did get rid of both of the prequel books because I just didn't see myself ever rereading them. I do have The Eye of the Minds, also by James Dashner. I have not read it yet, but I thought I might read it someday, so I did bring that in replacement of the two that I did not bring. Okay, we're slowly running out of room, but we're gonna keep chugging on. We're gonna make it work. I might add, let me think. All right, so this book right here, Hatchet by Gary Paulson, is one of my absolute favorite books. I don't even know what else to say. I love this book. And I think there's a couple books in the series. I got this at a library book sale. I don't think it's the actual second book. So I need to get the rest of them here, but I've read this book I think 3 or 4 times. I absolutely love it. My favorite part is the part when he curses the moose. Basically this moose attacked him, and then a tornado comes later, and he hopes that the tornado hits the moose, and that part of the book gets me every time. I think I'm going to put them on top of the Unwanted series because it can fit there. So this is The River and The Hatchet by Gary Paulson. So I'm just going to stick those right there. And they're kind of hidden, but that's fine. We try. Next 2 books, we have The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, and then we have 5 Feet Apart. Absolutely loved The Fault in Our Stars. I absolutely adored this book. I got 5 Feet Apart because it was kind of similar vibes. The ending of this book, 6 months later, I am low-key still mad about it, but it's okay. So the book itself is absolutely amazing. I was upset at the ending. It was sad, and don't want to spoil it, but the ending I was not a big fan of. That being said, I do think I'm going to give both of these books the honor of the favorite shelf because they fit perfectly, and I think they look aesthetically pleasing on top of the shelf with them. And it gives us more room down here, which is what we were going for. Next up, I have Jurassic Park and then The Lost World by Michael. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm not even gonna try. You guys probably just saw my like face just fall as I stared at it. Anyway, I absolutely love all of the Jurassic Park, all of the Jurassic World movies. I was introduced to the movies first, and then I decided to read the book. I read the book when I was like 13. It was traumatizing. There's just a couple scenes that really hit different when you're really young reading the book, so I would not recommend it to a 13-year-old. That being said, I do want to reread both of these one day. I've actually never read The Lost World because I was scared about it, but we're definitely going to give it a try eventually. Now, this book is obviously really small compared to the others, so I'm just going to stick it along the spine and match it up instead of shove it all the way back like I was. So here we are there. That looks good like that. And next up, let's see, we have a few more. Oh yes, these are some good ones. Okay, so I have The Cruel Prince and Shadow and Bone. I have not read either of these yet, but I obviously intend to. So these ones, I'm actually really looking forward to both of them. So I'm gonna stick them on the shelf here. I do hope to read them actually both sometime this year, maybe even this summer. I'm reading a lot of books right now, and I'm also beta reading for 3 different people this summer, so we'll see what I have time for. But I do have those books on my shelf ready to be read one day. This next book here is Tesla's Attic. It is by Neil Shusterman and Eric Elfman. I loved this book. It is a trilogy. I haven't gotten around to reading the rest of the trilogy, but it was a really good book. Actually, my mom got it for me because I loved Michael Bay so much. It kind of had similar vibes, this series here, so I thought I would give it a try, and I did really enjoy it. Next ones I have is Lore by by Alexandra Bracken. So this book is also really amazing. It does have a couple swears in it, but like, it was really good. It would not deter me from it. It obviously didn't because I read the whole thing. So we have this book right here. That book is not gonna fit like that. It's too tall for the shelf, kind of. Okay, no, never mind. We gotta get the angle right, y'all. We can stick it in. Okay, actually that would look aesthetically pleasing up there, but it doesn't really have room, so we're just gonna ignore that. We're just gonna put it here anyway. Next up, we have The Night Circus. This is a book I read a few years ago. I actually want to reread it this year. I feel like I didn't fully appreciate it when I was younger. I read it when I was like 13, 14, so I definitely enjoyed it, but I think I would enjoy it more now. And then we have Homer's Odyssey right here. This book made me want to get a blind cat so badly. I honestly still do want a blind cat, so if you ever see me with a blind cat, just blame that book right there. Hands down. That book is to blame. Only have a couple books left. Most of these are actually books from school that I was assigned to read, so I don't really know like what to do with them because like these are like they're mine, but by choice. No, by force, not choice. But that's okay. I actually did enjoy all of them. Next we have World But Wild Vet, and then we have Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. I haven't read either of these yet, but I say this for all of them. If it's on my shelf, I do intend to read it at some point. We can just take that as a given. I'm gonna try to slide those on and back. Now, I feel like some of the books on the shelf are not fully pushed back all the way just because they're a little bit shorter. So that shelf is a little bit not as even as the other ones, but it's also on the bottom, so you know, we ignore that. These last books here, I guess are gonna have to kind of just stack on top. I could fit something up here. What can I put here that can fit? I'm going to put this book by right here, The Elements of Eloquence. This is a book that I read. It was like we would be assigned a chapter to read every couple weeks for my English class. If you are looking for help with literary devices and grammar, get this book. Mark Forsyth, probably pronounced that wrong. His nickname is the Inky Fool. His books are amazing. He does this, like honestly, I'm actually gonna read this cover to cover at some point this summer because first of all, you just learn a lot from it, but he's really good at describing the literary devices as he goes. He like literally will be using the devices in his examples and explanation. So it's just, you get overloaded with it and then you understand how to use it yourself. So I definitely recommend Elements of Eloquence if you are looking for help with literary devices, grammar, etc. Check out Mark Forsyth. His books are amazing. I've actually only read one, but you know, we stand by it. We say it's good anyway because that book is amazing. These books right here, A Guinea Pig Nativity and A Guinea Pig Oliver Twist. These are just little books I got when I was younger because you guys know I have a guinea pig. I've always loved guinea pigs. And so I got these books and they're actually really cute. They're a little bit dark at some points. The Guinea Pig Oliver Twist, I read it on an Instagram live one time. If you guys were there, you know. That book was a little concerning at some points, but we're just gonna pretend it's fine. Because it's directed at kids, we're just gonna ignore that. We're gonna pretend it's all good. Okay, the books I have left, I honestly don't really want to put them on top because this is really aesthetically pleasing to me, and I don't really want to stack them on top of everything else. So I might try to find them shelf space elsewhere in my room. Don't really have any other bookshelves right now, but I'm planning on getting more soon. So I think I'm just going to put these in a neat stack elsewhere and call this shelf done, except for any additions I put in the front. However, the last books I have are The Young Entrepreneur's Guide to Starting and Running a Business, Jane Eyre, The Wind in the Willows and the Picture of Dorian Gray, A Christmas Carol, The Lord of the Flies, The Remains of the Day, and then I have I have a devotional for teens, and then I have my first Bible, which is literally called My First Bible. And I'm obviously keeping all of them, but I just don't know where to put them right now because I like the way this shelf looks with the empty top, and then I want to add stuff on top without making it look too cluttered. Now, I know this video is getting long. I apologize for that. However, I'm going to cut this off and find some things to put on and quickly show you guys that before I wrap things up. Alright, so I just picked out a couple of my Funkos. I have a lot more, but they're mainly Harry Potter ones, and I'm probably going to put those all up on a shelf somewhere together once I get other shelves up. So for now, what I have is I have my Alan Grant one, which is actually one of my favorite ones. I'm just going to stick this here. I know it blocks the books, but it's fine. We can just ignore that. I have Effie Trinket. She's my only Hunger Games one I have, so she is obviously going to be standing in front of the Hunger Games. She has some trouble standing sometimes, but we're going to just hope she doesn't fall. And then I have these two little baby nifflers, which I absolutely adore, so I'm going to put these here and here like so. There's room elsewhere for other items on the shelf, but I'm not sure what I'm going to put there yet. But for now, here is the full bookshelf. I actually like it a lot more like this, and like I said, I do plan to put a couple more around if I find ones that I want to fit. But for now, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions about any of the books I asked, questions about the author, where to find the books, etc., let me know, and I'd be happy to put some links down in the comments for you to help you guys find all of these books. I've read most of them on the shelf. There's only a handful I haven't read, and I do hope to read them this year. However, I think we all know that a TBR never really ends. Thank you guys again for watching. If you subscribe if you haven't already, and have a great rest of your afternoon, morning, evening, whatever time it is. Have a great day.